And again, I would request you all to keep your videos on. That will help us interact more. Uh, yeah, anybody would like to share how are you feeling? What is something that you're expecting from the session? Or how are you walking into the space? Just how's your day going? Anything. We can just break the ice with that and then we'll continue with the session. I know all of you are very, very eager to learn. So you're like, let's just start the session immediately. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Actually, very eager to attend the session. One small example is I actually forgot to register for the session.
Okay.
Uh, just now, one of my team member told me, "Ma'am, we have a session, YOLO session." So I immediately registered just now, just 1 minute before.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that is again wonderful that you were so eager that you just immediately registered and joined. And thank you so much. Means a lot.
I really like that. I don't want to miss any of those sessions that you are conducting on the Saturdays.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I really hope that I, do justice to your time and to what you're looking forward to. Thank you so much. Anybody else would also like to share how are you walking into the space? How are you feeling?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
My name is Jyoti. I'm from God Life School, and I'm teacher of English spoken. Uh, I teach first, second, third class.
That's
Uh,
great, ma'am. And how are you feeling about the session today?
Now I'm feeling good. I hope I will learn many things from you.
Amazing, ma'am. You definitely will, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for attending the session. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Anybody else would like to share? We can take a few more responses and then we'll move ahead. You can also write in the chat box. That is also completely fine. I can see some teachers have turned on their videos. Yes, Kalpana ma'am, you're sharing.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. From last year, we started with the ULO books in our school, and our parents are very happy by seeing so many, matlab like कि so many topics are explained in detail manner. Other books that we are using that are very less content for the pre-primary, but as per your books, ULO books are very helpful for us because in that every detailing of the every topic is explained very well, and the particularly the imaging part. Whatever the visualization are there that are very very helpful for us as well as students because due to the images the students are very much interacted with the books and everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful feedback, ma'am. So it's always, really makes us really happy to see that the books that we have designed for teachers and students, they are loving it. And there are,
Yeah, even our parents also very very happy with your publications, ma'am.
thank you so much, ma'am. That means a lot. I think my team will be very happy to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think it's already 2:06 and we can start with the session. I will be sharing my screen, but I just wanted to mention a few things before we do that. Is first of all, like I mentioned, we will try to keep our videos on because that will allow us to, interact better and maybe also discuss a lot of things during the session. And wherever you feel like you want to ask some question, you want more examples, and you want more clarity, you can just raise your hand and let me know. So I'll just share my screen so that we can quickly start. Um, Okay, can you show me a thumbs up if my screen is visible to all of you? Yeah, a thumbs up would work. Okay, so the session is about language enrichment and 21st century literacy, where we are going to focus on how, as a community of teachers, as a community of educators, we are going to help our students expand, deepen, and refine meaning. And we will also understand the in-depth meaning of these words, the meaning of the term expand, the meaning of the term deepen and refine. So we will start with by understanding how the session will flow and what your learning journey will look like. We will I have already mentioned, I would request all of you to engage during the session. We will be having many activities, discussion activities, we will be having some kind of interactive activities, and I would request you to engage so that it will help you build a purpose about why we are doing it and why is it important for the work that you're doing. Again, to know the meaning of the concepts, to know the meaning of what the concepts, the topics that we will be exploring, having a learning mindset is very, very important, which I'm sure you all are already working with into the space. And we'll also see how the same things can we implement in our classroom. So we're not going to just talk about things, but we will also see how those things can actually be implemented in the classroom and we can have better learning outcomes. So this is the first activity. Let's start with it. You can see two words on the screen, tree and knowledge. I want all of you to just mention in the chat box or come off mute and share what idea or pictures do these words spark in your mind. The word tree and the word knowledge. What image is coming to your mind or what picture idea is coming to your mind?
I think knowledge.
Tree and knowledge. You can write it in the chat box and you can come off mute and share if you want that. So when you hear the word tree and knowledge, what is something that immediately comes to your mind? Anybody who can share. So I can see some responses like different kinds of knowledges compared to different branches of a tree. So where tree symbolizes a person, wow, amazing. That's a beautiful analogy. Expand, a picture of tree and knowledge. Okay, a picture of tree and knowledge, of course. Anything else? Anybody else would like to share? So when you hear the word tree and knowledge, a symbol of nature, amazing. Thank you, Jyoti ma'am, for sharing that. More responses, anything else? Of course, all of these things do come to our mind. Nature, where it is, tree is also working as a symbol representing a person. You can also come off mute and share if that is what you want. Symbol of always sharing, okay. Yes, of course, knowledge is something that we share, right? And trees are also something that share a lot of things with us.
Karu?
Okay, knowledge is like a tree where anybody of any age can acquire knowledge, like any bird of any variety can come and sit on a tree. Wow. Again, a beautiful analogy. Kalpana ma'am is raising her hand. Yes, ma'am, please unmute yourself and you can share. Ma'am, you're on mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah. Okay. So now start like we teach students about the process of the tree, like how the tree grows.
Right.
Exactly right. So basically the main form is that ki root. If the root of if we teach something like if we like in the nursery we teach about the letters to the students. After that we go with the phonic sound. Then they learn the capital and small letters in junior KG, and they build their knowledge in the senior KG about the 2 letter and 3 letter words like this way, and then they form the sentences. In this way, the like root and stem, and then seeds and everything, and then flowers, and then after that we get the fruit.
Right.
Like that way, the knowledge is the fruit for us. Like we grow the tree of knowledge one by one step, and then it goes in a big tree, like a small seed, and then it goes in a big tree, and that is the knowledge for them. That is my concept about this image.
Amazing. That's again, like all of you shared wonderful responses, and it's so good to see how you are comparing both the terms, right? Some of you have compared tree and knowledge together. Some of you are talking about the pictures, the images that are coming to your mind. But the purpose of doing this activity is to know that when we as adults can see different meanings from different words, from the same words, then how is that going to look like for our students? When you write one word on the board or when you describe one concept in the class, how is the 30 students in your class going to infer different meanings out of it, right? So when we say that these are very common words and we still had different ideas related to these words. Similarly, our students also have different versions, different meanings. They build different meanings out of the same words. So here we come to know about language enrichment, and language enrichment means where we are giving our students a platform, a space for them to understand how they can make meanings out of words and how they can connect those words to their real life experiences. Language enrichment is something that we can build by giving them a world of better words. And how do we do that? Can somebody share how do we give children better words? Do I tell them to use a dictionary, or do I just simply, yes, Gayatri ma'am.
Reading is the best way, ma'am.
Right. Reading is the best way. And how do you encourage reading now?
From a very small age, very small age. Like one word books, then going with two words and one phrase sentence, one phrase in a page, and then slowly moving on to one sentences and then two sentences, and building up their reading skill will definitely improve their vocabularies.
Right, of course, ma'am. And reading is one of the best ways to give them a better, a sense of vocabulary. So when we allow them that space, different strategies that we will be discovering throughout the session, we give students an environment where they learn new words, where they learn better words, and they can frame their thoughts in a better manner. So language enrichment is not only about using dictionary and learning words and meanings. Instead, it is about different strategies that we can use to allow our students have a better sense of vocabulary, better set of vocabulary in their learning journey. We also give them richer context. Now, did you see how in the previous activity, some of you also compared the words? I did not ask you to compare the word tree and knowledge. I just asked you to see them separately and share the images. But you decided that, okay, I'm going to compare them and make them one concept. So you used your own context to, understand the meaning of the terms. So giving students a richer context, I am not allowing them to, just sit at a place and just what is there, what meaning is written, and just think about that and learn it, right? I am allowing students to connect it to their own environments, their own context, and then have a discussion where we'll see how different students have different context of the similar words, right? So language enrichment is also about giving them richer context. The next part is it allows students to have more chances of expressing themselves. It allows students to question each other, right? If a student is sharing one meaning and the other student is sharing another meaning because of different context, they will also be respectfully questioning each other. Where is that coming from? Why do you think like that, right? So when the language enrichment is there, students tend to express themselves more beautifully, and they also tend to question each other very respectfully in a way that allows them to just go ahead, right? So to build a meaningful connection with each other. So this is what language enrichment is about. Now I want all of you to just simply take the next few seconds and read these questions. And these are the questions that teachers have asked students in the classroom, and look at the responses that they have got. Just look at the responses that they have got. So question number 1 is, why do we need to preserve forests? And the student answers, because if we don't, the tigers will be homeless and they will come to our school. The second question the teacher asked was, why do we read comprehension passages? Because the teacher will ask questions from it. And the third question is, why should we save water? So that we don't get scolded at home. Look at the responses that a student come up with. Can you tell me why? You can write in the chat box and share, why do you think that students are coming up with these responses? Why are they saying that I need to save water because somebody will scold me? I mean, these responses definitely seem funny to us, that, that students are so creative that they are coming up with these responses. But why? Can we think of a why for these responses and share? You can write it into chat box. I would definitely love to read. So, Gayatri ma'am has shared they think only about themselves, not a bigger perspective, right, ma'am? Of course. Anybody else would also like to share?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
कैमरा बंद करिए ना
I would request all of you to put yourselves on mute, because so that there is no disturbance. Okay, yeah. We have got one response from Gayatri ma'am. Anybody else would also like to share? Why do you think students are coming up with these responses? Have you encountered any similar answers in your class, and how do you respond to them? I'm sure there are students in the class where, who answer similarly. How do you respond to those answers? Gayatri ma'am, if you're saying something, I cannot hear you. I'm so sorry. Okay, okay. Anybody else? So when we say that, students are not answering, they are thinking about themselves only. So we know that children's world is very small. It is limited to the school, to the teachers, to the family, to the friends, right? So the kind of concepts they are learning in the class are no, they are trying to connect the same concepts to their surroundings, to their immediate environment, right? And when the students make such connections, it's their answers are reflect those connections. So when you encounter, when you must have encountered such answers in your classes, I'm sure you must have asked some, maybe first thing that we have responded is with a laugh, right, or with a smile. But after that, we also try to probe students. We also try to ask them more questions. Why do you think the teacher is so, worried about saving water? Why do you think she's scolding you and asking you to save water? So, to having probing students with more and more questions, to let them come to the answer itself, instead of just having vague responses that are very limited, is something that we do. So first is probing questions, but again, probing questions help to a certain extent, right? When we say language enrichment, we do include vocabulary. Am I introducing the right keywords related to the concept? Are my students aware of the words that they have to use to answer this particular question, right? So language enrichment is something that works when we share the right keywords with the students. We give them a context, allow them the space to actually go around and give a structured answer. So this happens by probing them, by asking more and more questions. You cannot, if a student is giving an answer like this, we cannot just simply say that it is a wrong answer. Let's hear somebody else. Instead, how can we do that? We can just simply go and ask them more questions about it. And we can maybe write some keywords on the board and let the students use those keywords to structure their answers. So, language, to build a language rich environment in our classrooms, we can follow some strategies that are very simple and very easy. First is we can have a structured listening and speaking opportunities. And how do we do that? We do that by having think, pair, share activities like think, pair, share. You give a question on the board, and instead of asking students to share it in the large group, you can ask them to turn and talk to your partner about it. The reasons for doing something like this is it gives students some kind of confidence, right, where they understand, okay, I have a partner, and they feel comfortable by talking to that partner. Maybe they can understand each other's point of view better. So having building routines like think, pair, share, reflection circles where students, all of the students are sitting together, and then the teacher is given a topic about, maybe about environment or something, and the students are reflecting on it, right? They are thinking about, okay, how does this impact me? How does this impact the environment? So having reflection circles also allows them some space to understand, how to give them a platform or a space to listen and speak. The second strategy that we can use, like all of you also mentioned earlier, was reading exposure. And how do we give them a reading exposure? I don't just, so when I was in school and I was teaching for some time, I did not ask my students to just take a book and start reading. Instead, I remember I set up a small classroom library in my class named as Reading Cafe. And there were some books, and as soon as the students entered the class and they saw a new corner set up in the class, they were very excited. What is it? What is there? So they just immediately took the books and started looking at them, going through them. So what I did was that I gave them a space. There is a reading corner in the class. There are some books, and whenever building that interest about reading is also important. And how do we do that? We also have focused reading routines, right? You can maybe ask students to sit with their partner and read one story. Have book review templates on the wall. We can just simply have a graphic organizer, stick it on the wall of your classroom, and let the students submit one book review 1 week. That is also completely fine. So giving them reading exposure is definitely going to have help them with building vocabulary, right? Not only vocabulary, but also sentence structures. Also understand, how do I present myself? Another strategy that we can use is writing frames and sentence starters. If the problem is my students are not able to speak in English, they know the answer, and I'm sure you have such students in your class who know the answer, who know the concept, but they're not able to speak. How can I help them? I can simply have sentence starters in the classroom visible for the students. Discussion prompts, right? You can simply write, okay, what do you think is the character doing? Why do you think the character is doing this? So when a child is reading any story, these questions will automatically run in their minds, right? So having discussion prompts in the class, having sentence starters. So when you are having, discussions in the class or think, pair, share, maybe you can also mention how students can talk about, I disagree with you because, I agree with you because. This is just simply a sentence starter that you can put in your class. And when the students are discussing, they can simply see it on the wall, they can read it from there, they can add their reason and complete the discussion. So having sentence starters give structure to their thoughts, give them a beginning, a initiation that, okay, now here you can start speaking. Another strategy is daily word enrichment routine. And how do you do that? I remember in my school, my teacher used to give us holidays homework that you have to make a dictionary of your own, and you have to have learn new words from the dictionary and write it in your own dictionary. So that was just one thing that we did only during the summer break. But after that, we never used that dictionary. Where did that dictionary go? We never knew. So having that consistency is very, very important. I cannot ask my students to do it during the summer break or winter break and then forget about it. Daily word enrichment routine is something that we practice consistently, right? Having a word wall, just put a chart paper or just put some sheet on the wall and write title it as a word wall. Whenever a new word is discussed in the class, ask any student to stand up and write that word on the word wall. Will they remember it? Of course. Whenever they come to the class, they look at the word wall, they will be looking at the same words again and again every day. They might start using the same words in their while communication. So having vocabulary games, context clues routines. So building these routines is also important to give them a richer context of vocabulary. Now I'll show you some examples. The pictures that you see on the screen are from my own classroom. When I was teaching, this is the reading cafe that I just talked about. You can simply have a classroom library. These are the students reading in partners. So, what I used to do is I used to make my high support and low support students sit together, and then they are helping each other read and comprehend the story. There is a book review template. So you can see even the book review template is not something that I made and stuck it on the wall. I instead asked a student to find out how to write a book review, make a graphic organizer, and we stuck it on the wall. So whenever a student had to write, a book review, they could just simply see it from the wall and write it. So there are graphic organizer. All of these things are very clearly visible in the classroom, right? Whenever students enter the classroom, they can see it all around them. So this is what language enrichment looks like. We cannot just simply tell them about these things. Instead, these things have to be there in the classroom throughout the year so that students know the process of learning. They know the process of, learning words. They know the process. Okay, this is what my class, this is how my classroom works. This is the kind of language that we use. These are the kind of terms that we use. So this kind of environment is something that we need to build. Before I move on to the next slide, I want to ask you from all, how is there any of these activities that you are also practicing in your classroom, which are new, which are maybe not the same that I talked about, may be different from that, or even if it is same, I would love to know how you are practicing it. You can again write it in the chat box or come off mute and share.
Ma'am, we use anchor charts
Right.
where we put down the strategies that we teach the children to read or write, whatever the class is.
Yeah.
Say, for example, if we are teaching descriptive writing, we talk about the strategies that are used for writing descriptive writing. We do it as an anchor chart and we put it up and it is there all throughout the term until we
Yeah.
finish descriptive writing.
And how does that work for you, ma'am? Like,
And
how
every
does
day we actually we have a method called bus row arrangement where children sit on the floor on the carpet and the teacher sits on the chair and we have knee to knee partners sitting together like a bus row and we are supposed to teach only for 7 minutes in the 40-minute session. So
Yeah.
within the 7 minutes we need to recap what we have taught and we need to tell what we are supposed to teach,
Right.
and then we give the rest of the time uh, the rest of the time to go back to their spots to go sit and write. And then again, at the last 7 minutes, they come back to the bus row arrangement. And then we recap what they have written and we recap what we have been teaching throughout.
Right. So, ma'am, here the thing that you're doing is also more of a facilitation, right? As a teacher, you're not just entering the class and teaching and going, not allowing the students to experience the learning. So, it is important that we're allowing them to experience the learning. It's not just, a passive way of teaching where the teacher just speaks, tells the concept, and, gives them homework and leaves the classroom. Instead, students are experiencing it, they're doing it. So it's like learning by doing, right? So when we allow the students that kind of space where they have to immerse in the learning process, where they have to, engage with the strategies that are there that we are using in the classroom, it helps them retain the information also. So students do have a fish memory. So if you teach them something today, they might forget it tomorrow. So that is very normal for students. And how do we ensure that we are catering to their needs, and how are we making sure that there is a consistency by practicing that same strategy for a week? So I saw that Gayatri ma'am also mentioned that she uses word of the day week, right? Um, and Neeraj sir also mentioned that just take the introduction of students related to their personality with the objects in class. With this activity, they can imagine more words, they can use more words, right? Of course, sir. So here, sir is giving them a chance to connect things to themselves. In the beginning, you only mentioned how students make everything about themselves. Their world revolves around themselves. And when you're allowing them to, connect their personalities to other objects, and find similarities or find differences, that is also going to be very interesting for them. So how are we ensuring that language is getting built? When we are making the students interested to communicate, when we are giving them the structured strategies to use, how to communicate, how to express all of that. So this is what language enrichment is all about, and this is how we can actually implement it in our classroom. And I'm sure all of you are already doing that. All of you are already implementing these things in your classroom. But this is like a refresher where you can think about, okay, this is something which is new for me, and I can try it with my students. I can see how this is working out for them. And when we say language enrichment, we don't say that language enrichment is something that I feel is important for students or you feel is important for students. But our national education policy and our national curriculum framework also says that language enrichment is very, very important for the students. And let's see how what it emphasizes on. So NEP says that language learning must be joyful, meaningful, and experiential. Just like we discussed, that it has to be something where students are experiencing their learning. They're learning by doing. They're actually engaging in the activities. They're using the right strategies to learn. Then we say that, okay, learning is actually happening in the classroom. So it has to be very interested for the students. It has to be something purposeful where they are building purpose and they're experiencing their learning process. It also has to be, we are focusing on vocabulary, we're focusing on comprehension, we're focusing on expression. These should be our main goals. Because think about how our students are going to act when they enter the real world. Right now, they're just in the classroom with us. They're interacting with their friends, they're interacting with their teachers, with their family. When they're going to enter the real world, there will be many people that they'll have to interact with, right? And are they able to express themselves there? Are they able to comprehend how what the other person is saying, or what kind of information is getting conveyed to them? So having building these skills in the classroom is very, very important, so that these can, be very easily transferred by the children in their real world as well as when they grow up. It also says that every teacher is a language teacher. And when we say every teacher is a language teacher, we don't say that, every teacher is going to come into the classroom and teach grammar. It is going to, he or she is going to talk about vocabulary. No, every teacher is a language teacher because they are allowing this, or maybe it's making the students experience the kind of environment which is which talks about language. So here, as a teacher, when if I am a math teacher, I'm coming to the class and I'm talking about addition or subtraction, very simple concepts, then are my students able to understand me? Am I also connecting all of these things to their language? Okay, maybe asking them a question, how do you add? Or somebody took 5 apples and added 2 more apples, what does that total make up? So here, what are we doing is we are asking them questions. Maybe we are building curiosity. Maybe we are allowing them again the space to ask more questions. So when that asking and answering is happening, that is also a part of language. So every teacher is a language teacher in a way that they are going to enter the class and they are going to give the student that language rich environment where the students will get some vocabulary and terms that they will be implementing and immediately using in their environment. NCF also says that we are going to not give exposure to them to a specific text. I am not only going to teach them about environment. I am also going to teach them about politics. I'm also going to teach them about science. So when you are giving them diverse text, when you are giving them real life context and opportunities to communicate, that is the kind of exposure that is allowing the students to become aware beings, right? So NCF focuses on that. It highlights this point. It also says that we need to understand the importance of meaning making. we can connect it to the first activity that we did during this session of the word related to the word tree and knowledge, right? And how do we make different meanings of the same words? Students must also know how to make meaning out of the words, right? So when we say they know how to make meaning out of the words, we say that they are not just simply there and I know how to what is the meaning of this word or that word. Instead, they are also able to connect it to their real lives. They are also able to connect it to their own context, or maybe understand how it connects to other people's context. So meaning making multimodal text means sometimes you use images in the classroom to help the students interpret. Sometimes you use text in the classroom to help them interpret. Sometimes you use videos. So there are different kind of texts that you use to help the students analyze and understand, right? And like ma'am also mentioned, that it is less of teacher teaching but more of student learning. And how does that happen? When you give the students that voice, right? You allow them to talk, to speak, to ask, to engage. And when that voice, that student voice, is heard in the classroom, it gives them a language rich environment. uh, Now, let's move to another activity. I think we have already talked a lot about what language enrichment is about, and you have understood, how you can implement the same in your classroom. Let us do another activity and see what we have next. So, I want all of you to look at these images and just simply share what is something that comes to your mind when you look at these two images. Of course, there is an image of a library and there is a Google search bar. I want you to tell me, when you search for information, how is it different searching in a library and on Google? You can
In
again.
library there is bookish language, and in Google there can be a wide area of information we can collect from everywhere.
Right. And ma'am, which mode do you think you really prefer and why?
Preference should be of books, but nowadays we
Ma'am, you're on mute. Seema ma'am is saying more time is needed in library. Okay.
nowadays we are using the Google more. We are preferring Google more to save our time only. But bookish language, that is used to enhance our knowledge by reading also.
Right. Okay. Okay. Anybody else would like to share? Which source of information?
See, library.
Yes.
Yes, can I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. When we are going to a library, we come across so many information. We will get vast information knowledge while we are reading or referring the books. But whereas when we go to Google, it only direct you to the particular topic what you are searching for.
Right. Right. Okay. So the Google is something that gives us, information faster, and it immediately takes us to the topic. We don't have to research a lot. Okay. Little kids learn by doing more effectively. Okay. Reading is always better, but sometimes due to shortage of time, we search faster. Right. So when we say that, yeah, I'm sorry. When we say that there are two sources of information. One is library and the other is Google. We see that students also have these platforms in today's time, right? They also have the platform where they can access the library to search for information, and they can also search on Google. And when we say that they can search on Google, we know that there are going to be variety of sources of information available online for the same concept, right? And students, for students, it is in today's time, it has become very important, and it's also, I would say, uh, more crucial in a way because they have a lot of sources of information. Earlier, what used to happen was that students so earlier what used to happen is that students did not, they just simply had, we just used to open our books and read from that, and that is how we gathered information. So even during our summer projects, I remember we used to have charts, we used to open books and go to the library and find the books on the same topics and then write our summer projects. But now when you give a summer project, students are definitely going to use Google and AI, yes, of course, to just find the answers and simply just write it down, right? So when you have a variety of information, it becomes really, really, I would say, important to teach them how to analyze that information, because they already have an outflow of information, and to understand which one I need to accept, which one is something that I need to question, is a skill that we need to build in our students. And that is where the 21st century literacy comes in. This is why we have 21st century literacy, and this is why it has been introduced. Now, before I actually deep dive and understand the meaning of 21st century literacy, I want all of you to look at the images on the slide and write it in the chat box, only chat box, that how do you think, these images, what are they representing? What are they symbolizing? So if you look at the first image, what do you think this particular image is symbolizing or representing? You can simply write your answer in the chat box. The picture of a girl with a book. Okay, Rajshri ma'am is saying reading, asking for a turn to read. Okay, reading information, right? Okay, all of you are saying that the first picture is related to reading, right? This is about reading. And when we read, we do interpret the information. We are not just simply reading the words, instead, we are also interpreting the information, comprehending it, right? And when you look at the second image, what do you think that second image is showing? Okay, second picture can be related to the confusion. Okay, anything else? If anybody would like to share. Query. Shikha ma'am is saying query. Anyone else? Chat GPT. Okay, have doubts. Right. So second question, second image is showing asking questions, right? Where we see curiosity, where see the value of curiosity, where question and answer happens. Now look at the third image. What do you think this third image is representing? There is a screen, there are some folders, and a message is coming out of that. What is it? Third one is reaching answers. Okay. I would need more responses. Third picture shows the emoji or folder of social group, anxiously searching ideas and information. A folder, okay. Finding answer, okay. Visual and audio information, YouTube, amazing. So the third, like all of you have actually pointed out, the third picture through the digital, right, ideas and information, right? It means using digital tools. Like you already said, it is about digital information. Students are using AI, they are using computers, just like we saw Google search. They have multiple digital tools that they use to not only gather information, but to also search and also create a lot of new things, right? So third picture is about using digital tools. Now can somebody also share what is the fourth picture symbolizing? Fourth image shows ideas. Somebody saying ideas, using mind, brain use, ideas. Okay, got all information and assembling and absorbing it. Okay, opinion and ideas, creativity and problem solving, brainstorming ideas. Amazing. So all of you know that the fourth picture is talking about expressing creativity. It is about expressing ideas, right? It is thinking capacity, right? It is about innovation, thinking. So 21st century literacy is all about these four things, right? It talks about all these four things where students learn how to interpret information, how to ask questions, how to use digital tools in the right way, and how to express creativity. Now, before I tell you the exact definition of 21st century literacy, I want to know from you, when I told you that okay, these are the pictures, you have to look at the pictures and you have to tell me what do they represent or symbolize. How did you do that? How were you able to just understand the meaning of the pictures just by looking at them? How did that happen for you? You can write it in the chat box again. How were you able to understand which picture is symbolizing what? All of you gave the right answers. How was that possible? How did you know that the first picture is about reading and interpreting information and the last one was about creativity and expression? How did you know that the third picture was about YouTube, something related to digital tools? How? Right? Brain processes previously seen symbols, right? Our brain knows how to interpret information. Since our childhood, we have learned, we have experienced a lot of things, and that is why we were able to make connections and make meaning of these symbols. These symbols were not just, simply alien language for us. Instead, our brain is trained in a way we have developed the right skill set to analyze and interpret these symbols. And how were we able to do it? We were able to do it because we have developed that skill as an adult. And that is why when today we are working in the real world, when we are interacting with new people, when we are, looking at information either digitally or in a book or wherever we see information or any kind of text or visuals, we are able to interpret it. We are able to make meaning out of it. And that is what 21st century literacy is about. It says that we want our students to not become passive consumers of content, but to become active creators and critical thinkers. We want our students to create things. We want our students to critically think when they see any piece of information. It is not something that they see, they read, they cram it, and then they say it repeated in the same way. No. Are my students able and skilled enough to ask questions? Are my students skilled and able enough to express how this can be changed or how we can bring a change to something? Are they interpreting information or just reading the words properly? So this is why 21st century literacy is important, where we are making our students active creators, active learners, and critical thinkers. And how do we do that? How do we build 21st century literacy? Because we have so many digital tools, we have an outflow of information. We have understood that this is important to build this kind of literacy. And how do we do that? We do that in various ways. So first method is project-based learning. And when we say project-based learning, we say that we are not asking our students to just, memorize a concept and write it in the exam. Instead, we are assigning them open-ended projects. We're allowing our students to research, design, and then present a solution to a real-world problem. So I remember in grade 7, I guess in SST in NCRT, there is a chapter called Understanding Media. And when you talk about media, you just simply cannot tell the students what is media and how it is connected to our lives. What you maybe something that you can try and see that maybe you can ask the students to go around their community, look for interview people and write about it. Write what is there in your community, what kind of problems is there in your community, what kind of different peoples are there, what kind of jobs do they do, and how is that contributing to the world, and what are some solutions that we can have for their problems. So project-based learning is something that can help the students uh, explore, research. They won't, when you say that you have to go into the community and interview people and know about their struggles and their experiences, then students cannot Google it. They cannot Google and use an AI tool to just simply interview people, right? So when you are saying that project-based learning should be there in the classroom, that means we want the students to actually get, get to do something, to research, to design, to create, and to solve problems. And that happens when you allow them, give them some kind of projects that are research based. Another strategy that we can use to build 21st century literacy is inquiry based routines. And inquiry based routines is where we implement different kind of routines. For example, you just simply show a picture on the screen or show a picture in the book or the board, and students are simply they just simply have to observe it, see it, think what is there in the picture, and then share, right? So this is an inquiry based routine. Even just in the activity that we did, what happened is that all of you just looked at the symbols, you waited, you thought, and then you shared. So that was an inquiry based approach, right? I did not give you the answer. I did not tell you what 21st century literacy is. I did not tell you why is it important. Instead, you yourself became a part of it, you experienced it, and then you came up to the answer that, okay, this is what 21st century literacy might mean. So inquiry based learn routines help the teachers to facilitate, to teach less, and it helps the students to explore more, to engage, and to find the answer through through exploring. Another thing is digital literacy and media analysis. Now we see that there are multiple videos, reels that come on WhatsApp, Instagram, social media accounts, right? Students are engaging with this type of content on an everyday basis, and we cannot stop them. We cannot take the mobile phones away from a student's life, because we know that there is digital learning that is happening. There are, there is homework there, and there are a lot of good things about, digital media. So we cannot just simply take the technology out of their lives, right? So why not give them a skill, help them build the skill of analyzing how to understand and interpret the digital information. If you're watching a video over WhatsApp which has been forwarded, or a message which has been forwarded, are my students able to research or search? Are my students able to search what actually, they they know that this is the authentic source of information or not, right? Is it just simply somebody wrote the message and forwarded it to everybody? Or is it something that came from an authentic source? So digital literacy and media analysis is very, very important. And how you can do it, you can have activities in your class like fake news and real news. You can just simply have some pictures of fake news and some pictures of real news, and ask the students to identify which one do you think is fake and which one do you think is real, and why. And how these kind of activities will again help the students to understand, okay, even when in the real world they are having, they are experiencing these kind of information, are they able to differentiate the fake one and the real one? Or you can ask the students to create their own blogs, to create their own videos, and express on a topic. So all of these things, activities, will help students develop digital literacy and media analysis, to analyze which one is the right and which one is not authentic. Another strategy that you can simply use is structured collaboration. So we also talked about it earlier, that we can have simple, very simple activity like think, pair, share, right? Where students are working with their partners. We can also have groups in our classroom, and in a group you can give different roles to different students. One can be the leader who is going to speak, one can be the scribe who is going to take notes, somebody is going to be a timekeeper to see if we are completing the task in time, somebody is going to be the presenter. So uh, every group member has a role and they know it and they're acting on it. So when that happens, a structured collaboration is something that we are building in students. Again, when they're going to be in any professional field, they will be working in teams, they will be working with people. And how are we building that skill from the classroom? When we're allowing them to have this kind of practice this kind of structured collaboration in the classroom itself. So here also every student participates. We are encouraging student voice here, right? So this again is very, very important because all of these things together make the students ready for the 21st century, make the students ready for future. It is not something that they are only going to practice and use in the classroom, but these are all the skills that they are definitely going to use later on in their lives, in whichever field they choose to go. Anything that you feel that you want to add, or is there any 21st century, practice, literacy practice that you're doing in your class? Please mention it in the chat box. We'd love to know what are some, other activities that you are practicing. It could be anything related to 21st century literacy. Have you done anything like this? Have you done project-based learning or any, digital literacy workshop or maybe some kind of activity, anything? You can simply write it in the chat box and let us know. You might have done some activities related to newspaper readings or maybe highlighting the words or highlighting the headlines and see what, what they mean, what they represent. Or you might have also done something like we did earlier, observing the pictures and sharing what they mean. Has anybody done anything like that? Quiz. Ma'am has done quiz, creating models related to topics, right? Activities like poster creation, right? Of course, to build that awareness. So all of these creative activities, all of these, again, quiz is also, a kind of inquiry based approach where we are asking them and they have to answer. Audio visual for students, synonym games. Okay, so right. So all of these things you already are doing. Can we also try to ensure that we are making our classrooms more advanced and more ready for the 21st century? Why? Because our students need the space. The classroom is their learning space, and that is where they'll get to know what is authentic in the real world. What kind of information do I need to consume? Do I need to question? And what kind of solutions do I need to create for the world? So Ma'am is saying she has also done role play, collecting pictures about the topics from magazine, right? So these are research. You're also building research skills among students, right? Where they have to find the pictures. So even for, you can say that lower grades, you can do, where they have to search for pictures, not information, right? They're not reading the text. Instead, they're looking at the pictures and finding the pictures. Word hunt, right? So it's, of course, it depends on the grades that you're teaching, but it's also you can simply increase the rigor or decrease the rigor of the activity based on the grades. Now the bigger picture is where our goal is for to ensure that our students are not just simply consuming information, consuming knowledge. Instead, they are also simultaneously actively participating and creating things out of it. Right, recreating the stories in classroom, peer learning, debates, right? All of these things you are doing. And when we have a goal that okay, I want to make my classroom language rich, I want my students to build the right skill set that will be needed in their you can say in the real world environment. That is what our goal is, and the result will be You remember in the one of the first slides, we saw how the students had uh, very funny answers to the very serious questions that we used to ask in class. And that is why we don't want our students to just simply say that we save water because a teacher will scold us. Instead, they know that we want to save water because it is, a crucial for life. It is a survival element, and that is a global responsibility. So, for students to understand the responsibility to develop those skill sets, it's important that we are integrating both 21st century literacy and providing them a language rich environment. So, uh, language is not just about words, about the power. It's about the power to understand. Am I understanding what I am seeing? Am I understanding what I am hearing? Am I understanding what I am saying? Am I thoughtful of my words? Do I know the right words that I need to use? So it is not only about reading, it is not only about learning words, but it is about the power to understand the world from, an individual lens where all of us have built a certain kind of perspective and we see the world but also understand it from everybody, from others point of view as well, and we also know how to find the solution. So all of these things happen in your classroom. Remember, classroom is the space where you just not simply teaching them some kind of concepts. Instead, classroom is the space where you are ensuring that your students are becoming tomorrow's leaders. They are becoming beings who are aware of themselves, of their surroundings and the world around them. So it's like self and then others, and then they're learning about the world. So how are you encouraging that in your classroom is very, very important. So that was, before we move to the next slide, I want to know if anybody has any question, or is there anything that you want to share related to the 21st century literacy or language enrichment? Is there something that you want to share about, should we integrate this? Should we not integrate this? Why is it important? Anything? You can write it in the chat box as well.
Teachers, you can raise your hands. We can unmute yourself as well
Yes.
as.
Anything that you want to share related to what exactly, 21st century literacy and language enrichment can help you with in your classrooms? Can these two concepts solve any problems in your classroom, or anything, that you feel your students need? You can come off mute and share. Okay. So I think that was, we have had the chance to look at what these concepts can do for us in our classrooms. Let's just simply answer this question. Which strategy will you try in your very next class? Today we explored plenty of strategies that you can use to ensure that 21st century literacy and language enrichment is getting implemented in your classroom. So can you also share which one of the strategies that you're immediately going to implement in your classrooms? You can come off mute and share. Can you see my screen?
Teachers, you can raise your hands. We will unmute yourself.
Yeah. Which strategy will you be using immediately in your classroom? Is it going to be a project-based learning? Is it going to be having sentence starters in the classroom? Is it going to be asking probing questions to the students? What is it? I hope I am audible to everyone. if you're not comfortable coming off mute, you can also write it in the chat box. We'd love to hear. And project based. Okay, Ma'am is saying she wants to practice project based learning. Okay, anybody else? Which strategy do you want to use in your classroom? And you want to see your students practicing that. You can also come off mute and share or write it in the chat box. Yes, Rashri ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute if you're saying something, Rashri ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Hari Om.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I would definitely have a combination of curiosity building, like by the picture presentation, taking the help of the digital to make it like very, live, and then take it forward, and then ask them to reproduce it back.
Right. Amazing, ma'am. And that is so wonderful how you added an edge to it where they are going to create, something else out of it. So creation, like we said, we want our students to be active creators also. Thank you so much, Rashi ma'am, for sharing that beautiful thought. Okay, Veena ma'am is saying inquiry and creative based. Neeraj sir is saying after reading the topics. Okay. Of course, so after reading the topics is basically reading response, something that we can have that, these are some things that you can do, some kind of questions that they can reflect upon. Peer learning, project learning, how to observe and organize information, right? So, right. So all of these things are, something that we as teachers also want to explore, and we want to give that kind of learning experience to our students also. Amazing. It's so beautiful to know that all of you are taking these things away. So remember that when we say we are not simply in the classroom to ask them what of a concept, instead we are also building a why. We are also building a purpose for the students, helping them build a purpose, and also challenging them by, asking questions. So the building purpose is more important than just simply learning the answer. We can also have group talk starters, we can have discussion starters, sentence starters in the classroom that students can use on a daily basis in their classrooms. Visual decoder, like we did, and also ma'am also mentioned, we can use symbols, we can use pictures, we can have different types of text, we can have infographics, and you can find them online. Plenty of infographics related to the topics that you're doing in your class. So for the students to decode those visuals is also important, right? And when you are doing these kind of activities in your classroom continuously, it will help the students to easily apply it when they are looking at such things in their real world, also beyond the classroom as well. So again, these activities are very, very important, because when you start doing them in the classroom, it will definitely reflect in their real life also. So teachers, we will take the next 5 seconds, 5 minutes to fill the feedback form before we end the session. And we also, you know, just a second. So I think the feedback form link is shared with you in the chat box. I would request you all to uh, just fill the feedback form. Take the next 2 minutes to fill the feedback form, and then we'll be closing out. It's there in the chat box. Just simply click on the link and Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Suman ma'am. Okay, I can see some of you have filled the feedback form. Um, Thank you so much for attending this session. It was really nice to have you here, and I hope you're taking away, uh, you know, the right strategies to implement in your classroom. Thank you so much. Please fill in the feedback form before dropping out.
Teachers, we request everyone to fill the feedback form. Based on the feedback form, everyone will be receiving the e-certificate for the session.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining in. It was so nice to meet you all. Thank you for engaging. Please do fill the feedback form. You'll be receiving your certificates. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Means a lot.